Welcome back to the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling podcast. I'm Will. As you can probably tell already, Brandon is not here. He could not be here this week. So it's going to be more of a Cousin of Destruction Wrestling podcast. But as always, we will cheers and we are going to talk some wrestling. So let's cheers up. Of course, this week's episode is about the pop and drop of Smackdown from last night, May 17th, 2024, from Jacksonville, Florida. Pop's good, drops bad. Let's get into this and see whether or not it was a good episode of Smackdown. We started the show with a video package basically highlighting the King and Queen of the Ring tournament action so far. They actually, for the first time, mentioned Jade having an undefeated streak within the WWE, so that was kind of interesting to see, especially with, the route in which it could have gone with her fighting Bianca. We'll get into that later. But speaking of Bianca, Bianca comes out to start the show off in her Queen of the Ring match against Tiffany Stratton. Loud Tiffy time chants from the crowd here. She's supposed to be a heel. Won't get into her week that she's had. Kind of a bad week press-wise, but crowd still seemed very into her. Beginning of the match happens, and a lot of taunting back and forth between the two. Tiffy looking down at her wrist at her fake watch, going Tiffy time. Bianca doing the thing where she kind of dances around, smacks her butt looking at her. A lot of good stuff there. I think it took a little bit for the chemistry to hit in this match, but when it did, it hit hard. Great match. Bianca selling a knee injury that she got in the first Queen of the Ring match, and that would be mostly most of what Tiffany did on offense was going at it and targeting that knee of Bianca. But a lot of good back and forth here, a lot of good spots. Tiffany had momentum for a lot of the match, and obviously tide changed. Tiffany was also using Bianca's braid a lot, which was really cool. She was like pulling her hair down, whipping Bianca with it. Which it just seems smart. I don't know why more women don't do this against Bianca. It's like in football when guys have long braids hanging out of their helmet and people pull them. Like, of course you would do that. You're in a fight with this woman. Use that giant braid against her. Tiffany definitely got the memo there, but Bianca would then grab momentum, goes for the KOD, which Tiffany then would reverse, and she would reverse it into her finishing move. Oh no, she did like a double knee stomp. Like a running double knee stop that got a 1-2 ooh from the crowd. Very, very good stuff. There was a point where Tiffany distracted the ref by pulling up the ring apron into the ring a bunch, so the ref went to fix it. And then Tiffany turned around, poked Bianca in the eye, and I thought, oh, here's the BS. Here's the BS that I kind of wanted in order for Tiffany to get a win here, a Healy victory. But no, Tiffany went for the prettiest moonsault of all time. Bianca gets up, pushes her feet out on the turnbuckle. She goes down, falls backward directly in the KOD. Boom. 1, 2, 3. A great little ending spot there. Bianca gets the win, and we'll move on to the Queen of the Ring tournament. I am going to go ahead and pop this. I love the match. SmackDown's 2-hour runtime does this stuff really well because it feels like you instantly are into the show. A great match right away with two top stars, or one top star and one soon to be top star in the women's division. Really good stuff here. Like we said in our so if you follow us on social medias, we do like a Raw preview and a SmackDown preview and a Raw and SmackDown reactions video, very short. As we said, we would have liked to see Tiffany Stratton here get the victory in some way, shape, or form, but we're never angry at Bianca getting the win, so easy pop here. Then we get the contract signing between the United States champion Logan Paul and the undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes. Saw a little video package beforehand. Logan Paul enters with a posse of people and a lawyer. Very heelish, was pointing to people in the crowd. Does a great job working the crowd over in terms of talking smack to people. Really good stuff. Was pointing at fans. It ripped up a sign and pointed out a fan that had Prime stuff. So good, realistic heel work. Cody Rhodes obviously gets his big intro coming out in a sweet, like a white silver slick suit, looking real good. Got a bunch of pyro in the whoa. Jacksonville was absolutely loving it. Anyway, Cody Rhodes comes out. They sit in the ring. Cody basically starts off by saying Logan Paul doesn't deserve this WWE run because he's not an actual WWE fan. He said he brought up a War Games match from like 30 years ago. Said that a lot of people in this arena know it because I'm an actual fan. I'm not just here for my paycheck, and here is a sort of like a, you know, just a celebrity figure. Logan Paul then basically says, "Dude, I've heard this from everybody who's ever spoken to me. You're just saying the same stuff." He kind of pulled the B Rabbit move here. You're just saying the same stuff to me over and over again. And by the way, I'm mad at looking at this contract. I did not agree to having my United States Championship on the line. He then rips the contract up, throws it in the air, says, "Me and my lawyer brought our own contract here, and it will be for that undisputed championship and that undisputed championship only." Nick Aldis gets really he gets pissed, going crazy. Cody then excuses Nick Aldis. He's like, "I got this. You can go to the back. I'll just bring the paperwork later," which I felt was weird because, I know he's a champion, but Nick Aldis is the GM. We should probably keep some sort of hierarchy within the storyline here. Technically, that would be Cody's boss. So Nick Aldis should be handling this. Anyway, I digress. Basically, Cody comes out and says, "You know what? That's fine with me. I'm gonna end you at King of the Ring, and that'll be the end of your story." Basically, after that, we have the run-in with the posse members, or Logan goes for a clothesline on Cody. Cody ducks it, ends up clotheslining Logan to the outside of the ring, leaving whoever in the world the posse members were for Logan Paul. Just buddies. He needs to stop bringing friends to the ring, honestly, because they just get beat up every single time he does. But Cody put one through a table, and then he did this thing where he had both belts in his hand, but then he just held up the Undisputed title and then literally threw the U.S. title to Logan Paul over the top rope. So we're getting at King and Queen of the Ring, we are getting Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes just for the Undisputed title. And I'm going to go ahead and pop this. The crowd was really, really hot on this. Kind of giving me Dom Mysterio vibes with Logan. The crowd was almost booing Logan Paul's mic out of the arena. I'm not a huge fan of the way that they just gave Logan Paul the title match here. It feels like there should be an earned title shot here. I think he also should be defending his own U.S. title. But if you're going to give me this match, I know it's going to be good. So this type of segment is great for it. Both guys are great on the mic. Logan Paul is proving once again that he's got the chops to be with anybody in the ring, at least with his words. So far, his matches have been great, and I expect this one to be great as well. Little just side note, Logan Paul did, when we first saw him, he came face-to-face with L.A. Knight, in a very, very short face-to-face backstage. No words were said. That probably foreshadows the rumored SummerSlam match, and I am 100% down for that. And LA Knight versus Logan Paul match would be killer, and I think that their promos against each other would be insane. We move on. Bloodline. It cuts to the back, and Tama Tonga is like a rabid dog. He's literally making these noises. If you haven't seen it, go on like Instagram or Twitter or anywhere you look at your WWE socials. And there's like a video of him pacing back and forth in the back, just making like rabid dog noises. And it cuts to Solo behind him. Solo dressed like, like this, people say he looks like The Weeknd. He was dressed in this really slick red suit with these gloves. He's got a big chain. His hair is now like really slick back, well done. He kind of looks like a greaser, mobster. He stands up and Paul Heyman's behind him, and Paul's like, "Solo, have you spoken to the tribal chief today?" Or spoken to him today, sorry, because Solo is the tribal chief. And he goes, "Yeah, all the time." And then they kind of walk away. Obviously, I think that this means that Solo's doing this without ever speaking to Roman, and that's going to eventually lead to the beginning of the Civil War, and that storyline is going to be phenomenal. I'm going to pop this backstage segment very, very quick. Does the job. This little storytelling, these little hints here and there towards stuff is the way to do this, while also focusing on matches with Tama Tonga. So, yeah, big pop there. Speaking of Tama Tonga, they then walk straight out to the ring. Bloodline first, Tama Tonga and the Bloodline. come out for their King of the Ring match. It's Tama Tonga versus LA Knight. When Tama does his entrance, Solo comes out first. I just wanted to point to that real quick. But obviously, the entire time they're walking to the ring, the crowd now keeps chanting, "We want Roman," which is a hell of a full circle if you ask me. But LA Knight comes out, very, very loud crowd reaction there, very loud pop for him. This crowd was great all night. Jacksonville was really, really a good place for there. LA Knight was dominating early here. Tama Tonga was doing a lot of good selling, taking a lot of good bumps for LA Knight until Solo distracts. They get on the ring, onto the apron. LA Knight obviously can't ignore that. That turns into Tama Tonga getting the upper hand. I did want to point out here that during a lot of this match, Paul Heyman was standing away from Solo and the rest of the bloodline. At the beginning of the match, Paul was standing like next to the ring announcers almost, like to the right of Bad News Barrett, not saying anything. And also on that note, another thing that I'm loving seeing from Solo is that he obviously learned from watching Paul Heyman just on the sidelines when he was on the side of the ring for Roman for all those months. Was Solo's now got that personality on the sideline where he's making faces and disgusted when Tama was doing bad and hyped up when he was doing well. It really is good stuff. But LA Knight went for his finisher, and then Tonga Loa gets involved. So Tonga Loa on the outside pulls Tama out of the ring right before LA Knight can get his finisher off. This leads to a backpedal basically from LA Knight, kind of like, oh, what the hell? Tama gets his finisher off, which I didn't even catch the name of it. Weak finisher. I don't even really know how to describe it, but it didn't feel like a finisher at all. I was really surprised when he got the 1, 2, 3 after it. It just feels like LA Knight at this point should be able to kick out of one finisher in what is a big time match, but is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a pop as well. I love it because I think both sides did their job very well. LA Knight working over a crowd, getting better in the ring, better and better each week, I think. I'll say it 1,000 times, needs a new finisher, but other than that, he's ready for literally anything the WWE will give to him. The crowd is completely behind him. It's great to see him. And then, of course, I like the pop here because Bloodline storyline keeps on continuing in a interesting route. We're still seeing getting wins from distractions and stuff like that, which I understand the frustrations there. So that isn't the best, but I loved Solo's reactions on the outside. I love the in-ring story with LA Knight being distracted from everybody else and being kind of worried about the bloodline as a whole. I just think it worked really well here. I'm going to give it a pop. We got Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill. Jade did a very short interview beforehand where she basically said, I'm a beast as well. And then Bianca actually came up and was like, yeah, what's up? I won. I'm going to be ready for whoever wins this match, even if it's you. And Jade was like, yeah, I love you, but how's your knee? And she's like, I'll be ready. So the knee thing is definitely a story to watch in this Queen of the Ring tournament if she does end up losing somehow. But anyway, Jade then heads to the ring to face Nia Jax in their Queen of the Ring match. This is where I thought WWE completely missed for the first time in a long time. Where I thought it felt like the the storytelling from a few years ago kind of bad. Anyway, they come out, they do a stare off, Nia Jax and Jade, and obviously that picture is great. They're both menacing. Nia Jax is a huge woman, and Jade looks like an action figure, so it's very all eyes on that. They immediately go to the outside of the ring, basically, and what you find out is the little girl runs up to the apron, a little girl, and she's saying "mommy" to Jade, so that's Jade's daughter is there in the crowd. Nia Jax says, your mom sucks, beats her up. They basically just keep on throwing each other into ring posts and barricades, and then Nia Jax picks up a chair. I just don't like this decision at all. Nia Jax picks up a chair and goes for a chair shot, which is stupid because why? They're in a normal match and a chair shot gets you disqualified. Speaking of disqualified, they're on the outside of the ring for like solid minutes here. I don't know what's up with WWE and the refs no longer enforcing rules of any sorts, but there should be a 10 count going at some point. You need to get somebody in the ring to roll in and roll out. Let's keep the realism there. Come on. But Nia Jax winds up the chair shot, goes down to Jade, and Jade catches it. And ultra super babyface Jade at the moment, who we're trying to push and really trying to make into a star, then has this moment of brain lapse and then takes the chair and she hits and strikes Nia with it, causing a DQ, causing herself to lose. Nia then moves on in the Queen of the Ring tournament. I thought this was awful. I mean, just terrible. Huge drop here. You know what? I'm going to give it 2 drops, 2 downs. Because it did nothing. We're booking Jade as being this unstoppable, just force of nature. And with that, there needs to be a level of intelligence. And this was a dumb move. And also beating Nia by, with her finisher or throwing it around, that would have been a big, big moment of like proving how good she is and how big she is and how dominant she is just in terms of storytelling. And now she just looks like a big, mean dummy that got caught up in the moment. I think the WWE backed themselves into a corner of thinking, well, it's too early to do the Bianca versus Jade match, so we got to get one of these people out of here. This is why you should have given it to Tiffany. Bianca Belair is the most made woman in all of wrestling right now, apart from Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, who's not even there. So if Tiffy would have gotten a heelish victory after the eye poke earlier in the show, everybody would have, no one would have batted an eye. No one would have looked at Bianca any differently. Why do this to Jade? So now we're gonna have Bianca and Nia fight, and I'm thinking Nia's gonna get the win with the knee somehow. I'm not 100% sure, but this match was bad. It was barely even a match. It was more of just a scuffle on the outside. Post-match, they had a scuffle where security had to come out and they couldn't keep them apart. And you could just tell in the arena, everybody was just kind of like done with it. I really just didn't think this was good. I really, really did not. So you could tell that the crowd was soured with this decision, just like we probably were at home. And then they go out there and they throw out DIY facing Berto and Legado. I forget what their tag team is, but it's a tag team match. A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Wall were doing commentary, so the champions were there watching this, and it was a kind of like a DIY showcase to try to get some tag team momentum into SmackDown, and it was totally fine. In terms of giving a pop or drop, I'm not going to pop. I mean, man, that's tough. I think I'm going to have to give it the pop because the match was better than expected. I think DIY, both tag teams really got their moment here, and I think DIY is pretty good. Obviously, I think that their gimmick's horrible. And Waller, Grayson Waller pointed it out. He said about DIY, he said, keep cosplaying as your bosses. Sure, that will work out for you. I thought that was hilarious, and it makes a lot of sense. I don't get this DIY. I don't get the coat of paint they have on them right now, but they're both great in the ring. Obviously, we know Gargano and Ciampa can wrestle. But there was a spear on the outside, suicide dives, a bunch of tag team, acrobatics from both sides. DIY hits the meet me in the middle. Great little finishing move, tag finishing move. Good end to a good match. Sets up a DIY versus A-Town Down Under tag team title match in the future. There's not much tag team action in SmackDown or really WWE right now at all. These are 4 good names that will put on a good show whenever that match happens. So I'm going to give it a pop just for the setup of what it could turn into. And then, of course, the main event, the King of the Ring match between Randy Orton and Carmelo Hayes. Brandon and I had said that all we really wanted to see here was a decent match with a great RKO finish and a Randy Orton win. And that's literally by the books what we got here. Pop from me just to start it off. Randy was in full control for the beginning. From the get-go, they went to the outside of the ring. Randy did Carmelo was kind of dancing and taunting on the announce table. Randy swipes his knees out from underneath him. He falls back. Carmelo Hayes is one of the best in the business at selling. It looked like he fell onto a bunch of tacks because he freaked out just doing a simple bump on the announce table. And then Randy picked him up again, dropped him back on the announce table. Carmelo Hayes did end up getting some great offense here, reversing a bunch of Randy's like signatures, his like vintage Orton DDT, and then his rollover power slam. But then Randy would then reverse Carmelo's moves instantly after and then turn them back into those same moves. I thought that was a really cool back and forth. They had a lot of chemistry in this match. These guys can go, obviously Orton, but and both, it's obvious that both of them could go, but the chemistry between the two was obviously there, and it put on a really, really, really good show. Something to also look out for here. Randy is now also selling a knee injury from his first match. So we have the two top SmackDown King and Queen of the Ring contestants are both selling knee injuries. Don't really like that, but it's something. It gives you in-match storytelling. So Carmelo ended up really, really working the knee. And Carmelo Hayes running for a springboard move. He jumps off the top rope, turns around, RKO out of nowhere. Looked great. Randy, like, if you look at it, he RKOs him, gets up, and like fixes his wedding band. Like he's almost like Roman Reigns putting on his glove. It was awesome. Pin 1, 2, 3. Randy moves on to face Tama Tonga next week. I already said it, but it's a pop. Post match, we got a very short promo from Randy when the Bloodline came out. It was Tonga Loa, Tama Tonga, and of course Solo with Paul Heyman standing way in the back. And they came out and it looked like they were going to attack Randy, and Randy got the mic and was just spitting classic Randy with the red head, veins going throughout his head. And he basically said, "You really think I'm going to be scared of the Bloodline? Do you know who I am? I'm a 14-time world champion, and I'm going to show you what the most, the three most lethal letters in all of WWE are next week. The RKO." It was great. Great little promo. Randy is just in his bag once again. One of the all-time greats. So another pop there. Overall, good episode of SmackDown. Obviously, the Nia Jade decision was baffling and was the only real down of the night. But other than that, SmackDown's 2-hour shows are just perfect lately. Great wrestling. Looking forward to having Brandon back for our Raw Pop or Drop next week. But until then, follow us on all socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Like, comment, subscribe, share. We have new podcast episodes wherever you get your podcasting episodes at every Monday. And then throughout the week, we do pop and drops for Raw and SmackDown just like this. So until next time, this is the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. I'm Will. If Brandon was here, he'd say I'm Brandon, and we're out. Peace.